Well, today is day 17 of having Bell's palsy, and I don't really have anything to update. There's no change, but I wanted to talk about, since I know that there's other people who have Bell's palsy right now who are watching this video and going through this with me, I thought that I would say a few things about what I think, because I know that it's so hard to go through, and it really helps to have someone else vocalize how you feel, and then also to provide some encouragement. And I know that it feels like you're trapped inside this face, and trapped in possibly pain, depending on your situation, if you have pain or not. And it comes on so suddenly. It comes without any expectation. You do not see it coming when it comes, and it feels very unfair. And I think it's very easy to wonder, like, why would God allow this to happen? But I grew up with a lot of really negative beliefs about God, and thinking that he was like this guy in the sky who wanted to seek revenge whenever he could find fault, and to harm and destroy people in order to make them comply with his wishes. And I grew up for so long believing that that's who God was, and it really did a lot to my psyche. It was very, very difficult to grow up like that, believing that way. And over the years, I started to question that viewpoint of God, and I now have a completely different picture of who God is. And I don't think that God has a gender, because he's a spirit. But I will say he, because it's just easier to have some pronoun to use. But I think that that all of us are a part of God, and that he is a part of us, and that he is inside everyone, even the people who do very evil things. I think that people who do evil things are blinded to the truth of who they really are, and that's the reason that they do evil things, is because they believe they're bad. And if they could stop believing they were bad and realize who they really were, they wouldn't mistreat anyone. And I believe that God is not exacting vengeance on people or hurting them in order to coerce them to do anything. I think that God is going through the experiences that we go through, and that he is feeling the feelings that we feel, and understanding, with a complete understanding, everything that we go through with us, as a part of us. And I believe that there is no judgment towards us, and that we are 100% valued and loved exactly as we are, and that there is nothing we can do to take away that love, because we are a part of that love. We are that love. And the more that we realize that, the more peace and joy we have internally. And I believe that sometimes we can do things to abuse and harm our own bodies. And I believe that I personally overextended myself, and that lowered my immunity, that lowered my ability to overcome different obstacles. And my body is not trying to hurt me by having this reaction. My body is communicating to me that I need to rest and take care of myself. And I think that the only way that I would do that is by being kind of forced into it in this way. And so I think that that my body is doing me a favor and trying to help me and trying to guide me to a better way of life. And so that's what I think is happening. And I mean, I'm not saying that I'm 100% right about anything, but that is the way that I experience it and the way that I perceive what's going on. And I think that it's also an opportunity and a challenge. Like, it's a challenge to see, it's an obstacle that I can overcome, and how do I deal with this opportunity? Can I mean, because I could go one of two ways. I could fall into despair and just completely isolate myself and cut myself off from everybody else because of the shame and humiliation that I feel when I get to thinking that way. Or I could focus on the things that I can do, and I can focus on what is good in my life, and I can focus on the things that really matter. For a really long time, I have been so filled with this need to work. You know, I would say that I do have workaholic tendencies, and a lot of that is driven by just a kind of a survival kind of feeling, because for so long I was just surviving, and then I got to where I was, well, let's just say back in 2020 I got divorced, and I took all my kids with me, and I found out that I could provide a living for them doing my art, and I was very, very thankful that I was able to do that. But I think that in my desire to try to earn that living, there was a lot of anxiety that came with that. I wanted to make sure that I did everything right. I wanted to make sure that my kids were taken care of, but I focused so much on the work and focused so much on my responsibilities. And there was a lot of worry-driven work that I did. And in that, I wasn't completely present with my kids. I wanted to be, but it's like I felt so burdened by everything around me and just trying to juggle it all, that I wasn't as present with them as I needed to be. And so this situation has allowed me the opportunity to be more present for my kids and to let them be around their mommy a little bit more. Because when I was working at Red Mountain Theater, I was leaving at 6, and then I would get home sometimes like around 7 or 8 most of the time. and so my kids didn't get to see me very much that whole year, and I felt really, really guilty about that. And so I have to learn balance. I think that if you're going through Bells Palsy, you may have similar stories. You may have similar things, like maybe you've overextended yourself, or maybe you have gone through a lot of anxiety and kind of abandoned yourself and not given yourself proper care and love. And maybe this is a time that you get to spend learning how to care for yourself, learning how to love yourself completely for who you are and not what you look like on the outside. Because even though it's so hard to really separate your identity from the way you look, it's necessary. Like if I If I broke my leg, I would still be me. If I broke my arm, if I lost an arm, I would still be me. And so if I lose function of half of my face, I'm still me. It's a little bit more obvious to people. It's a little bit more noticeable. It's something I can't hide, you know. I just think that I think it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to learn, to be there for yourself. And I hope that if you're going through Bell's palsy, that you have hope that, first of all, that things are going to get better. They're not going to stay this way forever. Every time you look in the mirror, I know it's so hard to, it's hard to look at yourself when you know what you used to look like. And, but I know that it doesn't last forever, but sometimes it might last a really long time. But I think with a positive attitude, I think we can learn to love ourselves enough that we can guide our body back into a healing and to going back to normal. But we do need to learn to care for ourselves. And that's the biggest lesson that we can learn through this. And so I don't know. I hope that's encouraging to somebody. And I know that it helps me to vocalize these things. It helps me to get those thoughts out there. And so I will continue to update as I go along this process. But I just want you to know that no matter what is going on in your life, no matter what struggles you're going through, it could be Bell's palsy, or it could be anything. I know so many people going through so many different circumstances that are just awful. But what if we just look at them as opportunities for growth, and not believe that our bodies are betraying us, but rather that our bodies are communicating and helping us. And if we look at it that way, I think that our healing will be much quicker, and we will come out on the other side having grown and having developed into something more beautiful than we ever were before.